I saw the charge on our credit card statement first. The Roxy Theater. A place I hadn't thought about in years. I figured it was a mistake. Chloe hated loud music, hated crowds. The noise gave her migraines, she'd always said. That's why I gave it all up. For her. For our quiet, stable life. But later that night, scrolling through a music blog, I saw a review of the band that played there. And a picture of the crowd. There she was. Chloe. Not wincing in pain, but smiling, eyes shining with an ecstatic light I hadn't seen since we were kids. Her head was tilted back, laughing at something the man beside her had said. His arm was slung casually over her shoulder, his face a mess of rebellious curls and a smug grin. Around her wrist was the silver charm bracelet I'd bought for our anniversary last week. In the past, a rage would have blinded me. I would have smashed my guitar, the one gathering dust in the corner. This time, I just felt a profound stillness. When Chloe came home, I was in the studio. It wasn't much of a studio anymore, more of a storage room for my old life. A thick layer of dust covered my keyboard and mixing board. But my old Gibson guitar was in my hands, its strings humming softly under my fingers. For 7 years, this room had been silent. Chloe couldn't stand the noise, not even the soft strumming. It reminded her of an unstable life we'd thankfully left behind. She stopped in the doorway, her smile faltering. "Ethan? What are you doing?" I thought we agreed. Casually, she tossed a gift bag onto the armchair. "Happy anniversary, honey," she said, her tone a little flat. To be fair, she was a good wife, in her own way. Meticulous. She never forgot an anniversary or a birthday. The gift was a ridiculously expensive fountain pen, something for my quiet, respectable finance job. The job I took after I sold my touring equipment. Earlier that day, my old bandmate, Mark, had called. He's a producer now. He'd seen the charge for the Roxy too, on my public music page I'd forgotten to delete. He thought I'd finally come to my senses. He joked about it, figured you'd finally gotten tired of spreadsheets and decided to see what real music sounds like a guy. "And, you want tickets for their next show? I can get you backstage." I'd asked him, "Is the opening act any good?" "Nah, some local garage band. Loud and messy. The kind of stuff Chloe always hated. Stick to the headliner." He'd laughed. "Thanks, Mark. But Chloe's not feeling well tonight. A migraine." Just after I hung up, Chloe had texted. "Stuck in a late meeting, babe. Won't be home for dinner. Don't wait up." That night, unable to sleep, I'd found the music blog. The headline read, "Chaos Theory rocks the Roxy, but is frontman Julian Blake's new muse the real story?" The picture showed him and Chloe, his arm around her, her smile electric. See, on the table in their VIP booth was a bottle of the expensive whiskey I'd been saving. And on her wrist, my anniversary gif. I recognized Julian Blake. The loud, messy garage band singer Mark had mentioned. The kind of man I used to be. The photo was a perfect little scene of Betrayal. The caption, written by Julian himself, was worse. "Some people are born to live in the quiet. Others are born to scream. Glad I found someone who can finally hear the music." When Chloe finally came into the studio, she frowned. "Why is it so dusty in here? And why are you playing that thing? You know I have a headache." I'd seen Julian's post. I knew he was baiting me. But I was just so tired. The fight had left me years ago. I stared at the wood grain of my guitar. A sudden, fierce longing filled me, not for Chloe, but for the roar of an amplifier, the heat of stage light. I started playing again. A simple, melancholic chord progression I'd written a decade ago. It was quiet, but it filled the room. I've always loved playing. But since being with Chloe, I hadn't. When I finished, I put the guitar down. "I'm going to sleep," I said. Chloe blocked my way. "Ethan, it's our anniversary." She moved closer, her voice dropping to a whisper. "On a night like this, are you really just going to sleep?" Chloe has always had this calm, polished beauty. Once she started her corporate career, her tailored suits and sharp glasses only amplified that cool, untouchable aura. But tonight, I could smell the faint scent of stale beer and cigarettes on her clothes. I took a step back, avoiding her touch. "I was just playing the guitar," I said. "The dust. You'll have an allergic reaction." She claimed to be allergic to the dust my old equipment collect. I ignored Chloe's bewildered expression and went to our bedroom, locking the door. My phone buzzed. It was Ark. "Did you seriously decide to take the film score gig? If you back out because of Chloe again, I will personally fly over there and break your fingers." "I'm not joking," I said, a dry chuckle escaping my lips. "I won't back out. This time it's for our deal." The job was scoring an indie film. It meant long nights, loud sessions, and a trip to LA for the final mix. 3 years ago, Mark had offered me a similar gig. I'd turned it down for Chloe. She couldn't handle the instability, the unpredictable hours. She needed routine, quiet, and writer. We'd known each other since high school. I'd always known she was a planner, someone who needed to see the road ahead. Leaving for a tour, not knowing when I'd be back, that was her nightmare. I once had her take a personality test. ESTJ. The executive. Keywords: organized, dedicated, traditional, orderly. That was Chloe, perfectly. It took me a year just to convince her to come to one of my band shows. My friends never understood what I saw in her. She's so normal, they'd say. She's trying to tame you. I'd just smile and tell them, she grounds me. She saved me from myself. Back in college, my band had just been dropped by our label. I was in a spiral, drinking too much, ready to give it all up. She was the one who found me passed out in a dive bar. She dragged me home, cleaned me up, and sat with me all night. She didn't yell. She just held my hand and said, "Your music is too important to lose. But you're more important." I asked her later why she stayed. She said, "Because I could hear the real song underneath all the noise. And I knew that if I left, you might never play at AG. That Chloe. She probably never imagined that one day she'd be the one chasing the noise, leaving me in the silence." Mark must have heard the change in my voice. He said, "Everyone makes choices they regret. It's easier to live with the regret than to exit. Ethan, I hope you still have the courage to make some noise when you have to." He added one last thing. "The director wants to meet you. In 3 days. You'll need to fly to LA for a week. No half-assing this." The next morning, I was packing a suitcase when Chloe came into the living room. Her eyes were puffy. A sign of her migraine, probably from the loud concert last night. I walked past her, but she grabbed my arm. "Why are you so angry?" "Is it because I was late last night? I told you, I had a work dinner. It went late. This deal is huge for the company. As the lead negotiator, I have to be there. You've always said you supported my career. Why are you acting like this?" This was her script. I love her, so I support her. Even when her work dinners happened on our anniversary and she came home smelling like a rock club, I never said a word. Until one day, I was waiting to pick her up, and her phone rang. While she was on a call with her boss, another call came through. She instantly rejected her boss's call and answered the other one with a sweet, breathless laugh. That was the first time I heard her say Julian's name. It was the first time I realized she wasn't too busy for a phone call, and she wasn't the quiet, reserved woman who hated the chaos of that world. It was just that I wasn't the one she thought was worth the chaos. I pulled my hand away. "That's enough, Chloe. We're..." Before I could finish, her phone rang. The screen lit up with a picture of Julian. She shot me an apologetic look. Julian's voice, a low rumble, came through the phone. "Hey, beautiful. I left my leather jacket in your car. Need it for the photo shoot today." He paused. "Last night was insane. You were amazing." Chloe's expression softened. "You were the one who was amazing," she said. "You're a rock star, Julian." I let out a sarcastic laugh. On the other end, Julian seemed to hear it. "Oh, right. Tell your husband thanks from me. Last night, I didn't just get the girl, I got a new #1 fan. I'll be sure to dedicate a song to him on the album." Chloe gave me a guilty look when she heard Julian's words, quickly lowering the volume. It was almost funny. I shook my head and turned to leave with my suitcase. But I heard her quickly make an excuse to Julian and run after me. It was a client dinner, Ethan. Julian's band was playing, it was a networking event. He's a potential investor. It was all for business, you have to understand. I stared at her. An investor who leaves his jacket in your car and calls you beautiful? Did she think I was an idiot? Chloe must have sensed my disbelief. Whenever she lied, she would twist the ring on her finger. It was spinning now. But it wasn't the first time. This winter, I had the flu, a really bad one. I wanted her to make me soup. But I saw her putting on her coat. Julian's boiler is broken. It's freezing at his place. I'm just going to take him some blankets. I was stunned. I wasn't sure what to say, but she was out the door before I could find the words, not even noticing I was shivering under a thin blanket on the couch. It was so different from when we were in college. Back then, if I even missed a single meal before a show from stress, she would scold me. Then, during the break, she'd somehow appear with a hot container of my favorite takeout. "Eat. You're no good to anyone if you burn out. You're always causing me trouble." I got to the airport and my phone buzzed. It was a message from an anonymous number with a link. The message read, "You deserve to know." Confused, I clicked. It was a link to a video interview with Julian's band. The interviewer asked him about his inspiration for his new love song. He smiled that smug smile and pulled Chloe into the frame. "This is Chloe," he said. "She thought she wanted a quiet life, but I think she just needed someone to show her how to turn up the volume. She's my muse." In the video, the lights flashed over their faces. They were holding hands. My phone slipped and crashed onto the airport floor. Rage, cold and sharp, filled my chest. Chloe and I had been together for 10 years. But in that moment, she was a complete stranger. From the interview, I could hear her soft voice. "I'm sorry, but this is unprofessional." Julian's voice responded, I just write what I feel. What did I do wrong?" He wrapped his arms around her, kissing her cheek. "Don't you feel it too?" He tilted her chin up, and in the harsh glare of the camera lights, they shared a long, lingering kiss. Clap, clap, clap. The sound of the crew applauding. They thought it was romantic. Someone tapped me on the shoulder. "Sir, you dropped your phone." I picked it up. Julian's smug face stared back at me. He looked straight at the camera, at me. "This one's for all the quiet guys out there," he said. "Sometimes the girl just wants a little noise." I walked over to the ticket counter with a smile. But in the next second, I canceled my flight to LA. Before the agent could even process it, I booked a new one, a red-eye. Back at our apartment, Chloe was waiting. She must have seen the interview go live. Her lips were parted, still looking kiss-swollen. "Ethan, what are you doing home?" I walked past her and straight to Julian's signed poster on our wall, the one she'd claimed a client had given her. I tore it down. "Rip. This is for your pathetic taste in music," I snarled. Chloe flinched, about to speak. Smack. I backhanded the smug, smiling face on the poster. She clutched her heart, her eyes filling with tears. I coldly took off my wedding ring, the one inscribed with a line from a song I wrote for her, and tossed it on the table. It spun before settling. "Ethan, don't do this," she sobbed. "Please, just listen." I cut her off, handing her the printed divorce papers I'd had a lawyer draft weeks ago. "Chloe," I said. "We're getting a divorce." Chloe, ignoring her dignity, chased me out of the apartment. "Ethan, please, it's not what it looks like." The neighbors were watching. Embarrassed, I called an Uber. Amid the city bustle, Chloe leaned against the car door, not letting me close it. Her expression was pleading. "There's nothing between us? He's just a rock star, it's his image. I sneered. His image? So you were just teaching him how to kiss for the camera? S? Her face crumpled, her eyes red. "Don't look at me like that, Ethan, please. We've been together for 10 years. I can't live without you." She choked out, "Julian, he was just a mistake." Her voice grew quieter. But then her phone rang, loudly. It was Chloe, where are you? "The label execs are here. We have to celebrate." She instinctively glanced at her phone, her thumb hovering over the answer button. I let out a derisive laugh and slammed the car door shoe. In the rearview mirror, I saw her hesitate, torn between my departing car and the call. She took a step after me, then stopped, turning back towards the apartment building. I closed my eyes. Once the rage faded, an empty, hollow ache spread through my chest. The driver glanced at me. "Hey man, you okay?" I turned my head and said nothing. Back at Mark's place, I started sorting through my old music. Not long after, my parents called. Chloe had gotten to them first. She had to celebrate with Julian, but still had time to call our parents to act as peacemake. My parents were simple. "Son," my dad said, "we just hope you make the choice that lets you sleep at night." I finally finished arranging my old demo tapes. I opened the door to leave for the studio. Only to find Chloe, her face devastated, standing on the doorstep. Chloe looked like a child who'd been caught. She trembled as she reached for my hand. "Ethan, don't go. Please don't leave. I can explain." I stared at her, my face a mask of calm. Suddenly, she broke. "I'm begging you, yell at me, smash something, do whatever you want. Just don't look at me like that." She pressed against the door, trying to keep me inside. "Ethan, we promised we'd grow old together. Our parents, they think we're perfect." I sighed. "What do you want, Chloe?" She nearly fell to her knees, hugging my leg. "Please, give me another chance. I promise, I'll do better." I didn't answer. My eyes fell on an old photo that had fallen out of a box. Our college graduation. Chloe and me, smiling. But I noticed something I'd never seen before. In the background, under a tree, was Julian, staring at Chloe. And Chloe's gaze wasn't on me. It was just past my shoulder, meeting his. It started back then. Chloe trembled, unable to meet my eyes. Like a criminal awaiting her sentence. To her surprise, I said softly, "All right." She looked up, disbelief and hope warring in her eyes. "Really? Ethan, are you really willing to start over?" I nodded. "On one condition. Remember that film festival in France we always wanted to go to? We never went. Too expensive, too unstable. I want us to go. 5 days. Leave everything behind." "That's it," she whispered, throwing her arms around me. "Yeah. That's it." But I knew she couldn't do it. Chloe being drawn to Julian wasn't surprising. She had lived a life dictated by spreadsheets and 5-year plans. Her future was a safe, secure, and boring investment portfolio. Julian was the opposite, a high-risk, high-reward venture. He was thrilling. He took her to secret shows, stayed up all night writing songs with her, kissed her in the rain. How could her sensible, traditional world compete with that? Chloe promised that after France, she'd be mine completely. She took over the planning, booking flights, and a hotel with an excitement I hadn't seen in years. It seemed like she genuinely wanted this. Meanwhile, I scrolled through social media. Julian was in a public meltdown, posting cryptic, heartbroken lyrics. Today, he couldn't take it anymore. The muse belongs to the art, not the frame he keeps her in. I laughed and posted a reply. A picture of 2 tickets to France. The frame is taking the art on vacation. The past is just a demo tape. Time to record the final album. Julian, predictably, demanded to meet. In a sterile coffee shop, he gritted his teeth. "You're just going to forgive her? After everything?" I smiled. He spat, "You're really going to France?" I tossed the visa for my new film scoring contract on the table. "Chloe and I have 10 years of history." She begged for another chance. I told her, if she can drop everything for 5 days and prove she chooses me, I'd forgive her. Of course, she agreed. Julian was furious. "That's impossible. She loves me. She told me she loves my music." I stared at him. He had used my own playbook against me, the romance of the music world, to steal my wife. But he didn't understand. My bond with Chloe wasn't built on screaming guitars and late nights, it was built on a quiet promise of safety that he could never offer. He lunged at me. I easily sidestepped, spilling my hot coffee all over his designer t-shirt. I grabbed his shirt. Pathetic, I smiled. "You really think she loves you? Or does she just love the idea of you?" I made it clear. If Chloe got on that plane, she was mine forever. If she didn't, I was gone. He understood. At the airport, Chloe was anxiously checking her phone. "Ethan, this is different," she said, her voice tight. "Julian's been arrested. A bar fight. It's really serious. Can we just postpone?" Julian, ever the drama queen. I silently stared at her. Suddenly, I said, "I know why you didn't come to my band's reunion show that night." She froze. That night, it was the anniversary of Julian's father's death. He was a mess. I couldn't just leave him. I laughed, a hollow sound. "That was the 10-year anniversary of my first ever gig. The one you promised you'd always remember. On my birthday that year, you asked me what I wished for. I said I hoped that in 10 years, we'd be watching my show from the side of the stage, together. You got mad and said my wish should be about us. So I changed it. My wish is to be with you in 10 years, watching my show from the side of the stage." I was at that show. I knew she wasn't there. I even texted her during the encore, "Wish you were here." It was never delivered. She was in a crowd somewhere else, with him. "There will be other shows," she panicked. "No," I cut her off. "There won't be. That was the last one. There won't be another one." I looked her in the eyes. "There won't be another one." After a moment, I waved her off. "Go on. His career could be ruined. He needs his muse. As for France," I smiled. "We'll just go next time." She looked relieved. She rushed out of the airport to catch a cab to the police station. I tore up our tickets and threw them in the trash. Then I walked to another counter and printed a new one. Destination, Los Angeles. When Chloe woke up, she was on a worn-out couch in a messy apartment. Julian was gently stroking her hair. It wasn't right. This wasn't Ethan. She had rushed to the police station, only to find Julian's arrest was for a minor disturbance, a publicity stunt. She had been furious. But then he had looked at her, his eyes full of pain. "Chloe, I've loved you for years. Don't leave me. Not tonight." A voice in her head screamed at her to leave. Ethan is waiting. They had been married for 7 years. Everything had been so perfect. But how could she turn Julian away? A sinking feeling hit her. A premonition. She thought of Ethan's wave at the airport. It was nostalgic, but final. It was a goodbye. She scrambled for her phone. It was dead. Her heart pounded as she fumbled for a charger. Finally, it powered on. A call came through instantly. It was her mother, screaming. It took Chloe a moment to understand. Ethan had sent an email. To everyone. Their parents, their friends, her colleagues, his colleagues. The subject, a Muse's new collaboration. It contained a link to the interview video, screenshots of Julian's social media posts, and a detailed timeline. The final attachment was a photoshopped picture of her and Julian's faces on her and Ethan's wedding photo. The caption read, "Wishing the happy couple a lifetime of loud nights and quiet mornings. May their love be as authentic as their music." After hanging up, she saw a single new email from Ethan. It was a signed copy of their divorce papers. The message was one line, on the desk in the studio. "Sign it." She drove home like a maniac. The house was empty. He had taken everything that was his, the guitars, the amps, the records, even the dusty boxes from the studio. She remembered teasing him as he packed for France. "It's not like we're moving out." He had only smiled. The pain was suffocating. He had been planning this all along. But no, that couldn't be. He loved her. If she just apologized, he would forgive her, like he always did. But when she got to his old office, they wouldn't let her in. When she finally reached Mark, his voice was cold. She spent days trying to find him, only to see an article in a trade magazine. Composer Ethan Thorne signs on to score major motion picture, relocates to Los Angeles. She looked at her text history with him. The playful messages were gone. Now, every text she sent was met with a stark, "message not delivered." She looked at his social media. All traces of her were gone. The only recent post was a shared quote. "When did you decide to leave? When I realized the quiet I thought she wanted wasn't peace. It was just the absence of my own life." After finishing the film score, I took a drive up the Pacific Coast Highway. California was a world away from the gray, orderly life I'd left behind. The sun was warm, the ocean was a brilliant, chaotic blue. As I sipped a beer at a roadside diner, Chloe's call came through. Her voice was hoarse. "Ethan, where are you?" I looked out at the ocean. "On the other side of the country." "What do you want?" "If you signed the papers, send them to my lawyer. If not, don't call again." She was silent. Then, "I'm sorry." Sobs tore through the phone, traveling thousands of miles. "Ethan, I'm sorry, please forgive me. Tell me what to do. 20 years, we've been together for almost 20 years. How can you be so heartless?" I smiled. She must have heard me. "Ethan? Why are you laughing?" I let out a breath. "You're always like this, Chloe. So sure that I love you. So sure that if you just cry, I'll feel sorry for you. But Chloe, have you ever considered? I don't love you anymore." The next time I was home, it was for Christmas. As my family sat down for dinner, there was a knock. It was CH. Lowe. She was thin, her hair a mess. The scandal had destroyed her. Her company had let her go. Julian's band had been dropped by their label. The street was filled with Christmas lights. "Every year," she said, her voice cracking. "We always spent Christmas together? Ethan, I love you. I can't live without why. Oh you." I looked at her, and I remembered her sneaking over on Christmas Eve when we were teenagers, giving me a guitar pick she'd saved up for weeks to buy. I thought seeing her would hurt. I felt nothing. The last few months of music, of sun, of a new life had healed a wound I didn't even know was still open. "Chloe," I said. "Don't do this. It's Christmas. Seeing you like this is ruining my appetite." Her face went pale. I closed the door. When my mom asked who it was, I said, "No one." Then I went back to the table and fought my cousin for the last roast pot. Otto. My career took off. I moved permanently to LA. One night, I was at an industry party on a rooftop overlooking the city. My phone buzzed. It was my mom. "Ethan, be careful. I hear they're having terrible wildfires out there." I looked out at the hazy orange glow on the horizon. "It's not that bad, Mom." But as fate would have it, the fires got worse. Evacuations were ordered. My neighborhood was on the list. By the time the news reached back home, the cell towers were down. I was off the grid. My mom was frantic. Chloe heard the news and booked a flight to LA. Julian was still with her, a shadow of his former self. "Don't be an idiot," he pleaded. "He won't forgive you. He doesn't love you." Chloe grabbed a lamp from the table and threw it against the wall. "He does. He just doesn't know it yet." All he had left her with was her back. Thankfully, my house was spared, and I got back to the city after a few days at a hotel. Before my phone died, I'd gotten a strange call from an unknown number, but I'd ignored it. The incident slipped my mind. Until Julian showed up outside the studio gates. He was a wreck. "Where is she?" he screamed. "Where is Chloe?" It turned out, Chloe had come to LA. She'd gone to my last known address, which was now in an evacuation zone. She'd tried to get past a police barricade, calling my name, trying the strange number again and again. She thought I was trapped, that I was ignoring her calls out of anger. That's when a burning tree collapsed onto her car. My mom sighed as she told me. She saved you, Ethan. Just like in college. A mix of emotions stirred in me. This time, Chloe hadn't made it out unscathed. She had severe burns down one side of her body. Whether she'd ever fully recover was uncertain. My mom asked cautiously, "Son, are you going to go see her?" I shook my head. Realizing she couldn't see me, I said, "No. Chloe and we have nothing to do with each other anymore." After hanging up, I looked out my studio window at the Hollywood sign. What new music would I write here? I was looking for RD to it. As for the past, yesterday's song is over. Today's is just beginning. I hope everyone finds the courage to change the station and start a new song.